everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. We're going to do, I really don't have a plan for this week. I have friends coming over to stamp, so this card is designed for them. It's actually from one of the templates in the front of this catalog. I have camp coming up. The sweet sales has a few more days left, so after I did this, I thought I really should have used a suite, but I also have the sneak peek stuff for things that are available on July 1st, as well as my card club. So I have a lot of random things. I have far too many things to stamp and not nearly enough time to get them in. So we'll see what I come up with. I'm not quite sure why I went with this. Well, I do know. So we'll talk about it in just a second. I do have, while the sweet sale is on, I have my beautiful gallery class. This one, this I think is not a class. I think this is the one that I did the I think I have a tutorial up for this. So I had a free online class if you bought the beautiful gallery back in May. That offer is over, but I did open it back up if you buy the beautiful gallery things while the buy one get one half off sweet sale is on. You could still get the classes for those. This is my submission for the Create With Us tutorial bundle for June. So anybody who purchases $50 or more with me in product gets that tutorial bundle for free. And then I think this may have been my last tutorial. I don't know. Life's crazy in the summer, and my life is especially crazy right now, so it's hard to keep track of everything. So today I'm going to use the Extraordinary Flora bundle. So I got this on my very first order, when I could order from this catalog. And then my life went haywire. So in the meantime, stuff has gone on, it's unavailable. But if you haven't shopped with Stampin' Up! Recently, when you're on my website and you shop and you look up this washi tape, let me show you the washi tape, it's going to say currently unavailable. The rest of the stuff is available. So this is currently unavailable. I think it's due back in July 21st, which it doesn't say that on your shopping site, but I went to look it up. So it's, because if it was going to be forever, then I was like, oh, maybe I won't do this card. But you can see it's beautiful, beautiful washi tape. I have 2 cards that I'm going to use the Extraordinary Flora bundle for, but I've opted to do this one second. So I'll post it a little bit later next week, the washi one, since you can't get that. But it's been sitting here on the table staring at me because it's beautiful. And you know, if you follow me, you know I love to color. And the way this stamps and cuts out, it's just fabulous. So the way it works, you can see several things on here. The washi tape, when you roll the washi tape out, it will cut this. And so you have all these little pieces that you can use. And I'll do that on the next card. So come back next week to see that. And then you can also stamp this and cut this out. So this is actually one stamp. And it's not that size because, you know, these aren't the size that they are. It's this size. So it's giant and it's so much fun to color in. I also like it because there are a lot of samples in here. I didn't open it until I was just ready to start this video, and I thought, oh, there's some great samples in here. So let's start. I'm going to stamp and color first, and then part of it I will, 2 of these here, fast forward so you don't have to watch me stamp all of it. So I'm going to do a lot of the things that I've seen online. Like, I haven't really looked at much online. Again, busy, and when I'm not busy, I'd rather be in the pool than looking on the computer in the summertime. But I've seen a lot of samples almost exclusively on white, of the few that I've seen. So I decided neither of my cards are going to be white based. So we're going to do this one first. I'm going to use crumb cake. So it takes a full sheet of paper to do this particular card. So we have our card base, and then this is going to be a panel to mount it on, and this is what we're going to stamp on. And since I was doing crumb cake, I didn't want to do black either, so I'm going to stamp in pecan pie. I'm just going to ink this up. You can color with any of our water-based inks. You just have to be careful that you're not going right over the top of the images with water, because then it will smear. So we'll just be careful as we do this. And the nice thing with this one is there are so many flowers that if I would smear one, I'd still be good. And I like when they're nice and large because the stamp's not going to rock. So you can make sure that you get everywhere. And look how much fun those are. So now I'm going to color these in, and I will do, maybe I'll pick one flower and then I'll do the rest. So I'm going to do a base of Whisper White on I think I did on all of my flowers on the last one. Then I have 2 of these. I feel like I just did this, but I think it was in the Beautiful Gallery class. This one I've been using because I don't like to squeeze out all of my Wink of Stella stuff. This one's almost empty though because I can see through it, to clean them. And because I'm using the white base, it really has to be cleaned every time if you're going to switch colors. So the white will take a little bit longer to dry. And with this one, you want to make sure, because it's an opaque ink, that you don't go right over the top of your stamping, because it will just cover it up. So almost all of the flowers I did in white. When I'm done, I'll go back and show you which ones I have a couple that I didn't. You can see it's a little bit less white as it comes off the tip. I could just color forever. Let's do these right here, because this little daisy's got some tiny little petals, and so to not cover them up, I'm just going to do one little brush stroke of white. So you can squish your pad like you do with the other pads when you color with the white. When I'm going to do a lot of white, like this card, because it had a significant portion of white, I took my refill, and you can see I just put this little dab here, and then when I'm done making this card, I will just smush the top back, and instead of putting ink on the lid, it will grab that ink and it will go into my pad. So I'm going to do, like I said, all of the flowers end up being white. There's a couple that I did in Strawberry Slush that aren't on this card, but when you're going to make these, you might as well make them all. So then I have Mossy Meadow. You would think that I would remember if that was the one I just picked up. So then this is just a Stella. I'm going to grab my Mossy Meadow. And again, I'll just do a little one. And with this, you can see I really squished it. And if this wasn't, I have 2 Mossy Meadows. My other one's older, and it wouldn't have got that much ink on it unless I just re-inked it. But because this is on crumb cake, I want some of the greens to be really nice and strong. So if you don't have enough ink to smash down onto your lid, well, it's probably time to refill your pad anyway. So get your refill out, put some in the lid, and then go ahead and refill your pad while you have the refill out. So these are the Mossy Meadow ones. So I did about half the leaves in Mossy Meadow, and then I did the other half in Lemon Lime Twist. And same thing, you can see where I put the ink refill. And I'm not changing color or washing it off to change these colors because it's a green to a green. So if it has a little bit of Mossy Meadow in there, it didn't matter. So you can see that on these bright colors, the crumb cake kind of mutes the paper or the color. But I'm fine with that. So I've got those. So let me do all of the white and all of the green, and I'll fast forward that part back out. All right, so I finished the white and both of my greens. So now I have, let's start with Darling Duckling, just because it's the one laying there. And this is the same one I had the green on. So I just wiped it off on the end of it on a bit of tissue. Put some Stella in there, and then I'm just gonna get these centers. It takes a little bit to put it on there. And this is gonna then have to dry before we put it through. And you can see as this dries, the white, it goes a lot lighter. So if you're doing it and you're not filming, then I would do 2 coats of white. I don't wanna wait for another one to do it. And I thought about painting one so I'd have one ready so I could do a second coat, but you know, I got things to do. I can't wait for paint to dry, literally. So I'm going to do all of these little daisy, or I'm not sure what these are. Whatever these flowers are, I'm going to get the yellows of those in the center. So Darling Duckling. And then I'm going to come back and take and put just a little bit up on the white so you can kind of see it better. And this white is the whitest because it hasn't dried yet. This one over here is the first one I did before I painted everything else. So I don't want the flower to be yellow, but I think this kind of highlights that the center is a different color. You just pull it a little bit. And you can make them yellow if you want. Okay, and then I am going to use my Timid Tiger. This one needs to be smushed a little bit more, I think. So the great thing about these flower sets is you can use all the colors. Any color that you have, you can make it whatever color you want. So I'm going to add some Timid Tiger there. And those, I'm just going to do it on the little top of those. And then these, I'm going to do the center just like I did the other. And then pull some of the orange out so it is a little brighter than what it is on top of that crumb cake. Got those. And then my one last color, which you'll have to come back probably in a couple weeks. I don't want to do all of these in a row because I have so many other things to show you. But I am going to do this flower and this flower in Strawberry Slush. All right, so I have those done. This is actually at my in-person camp. I'm going to let them stamp this whole thing and then color these two in and cut them out, and then can take the other ones home and color them in. But we don't have enough time at camp for everybody to paint these many things. So I did two that I'm going to use. I haven't made that card yet. But you can do the same thing. Just go ahead and always paint them all. And then when you end up, because these are not used on my other card, look how pretty they are with that Wink of Stella on it. And you can see how much lighter it's going to dry. This one I decided to try the white underneath to see if I liked it that way. But just stick them back in your stamp case when you're done. And then that way when you make another card, if you need them, you'll have some spare. I thought about putting them on the inside. So here I'm going to stamp the words out of the set with love, because I thought that way this can be a birthday card, it can be an anniversary card, it can be a wedding card, an engagement card when you go with the generic. Then this is from Bloom Impressions, and I have a piece of Darling Deckling. I am going to run this through my cut and emboss machine. Then I am going to run, this is from the Cheers and Sips. So if you're in Card Club, you've just seen 2 months of Card Club things that you can use with this. So I'm going to run this through so it goes all the way to the edge, and you can see this one kind of fades away. You're line that straight with that line down there. Put that through the machine, and then this one, I'm going to do it last, give it a fraction more time to dry. This just goes on here just like that, and they all cut out at once. That's why it's better to go ahead and color them all, just so you have them even if you don't plan on using them. So let me run all this stuff through my machine. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces. You can see this one here I've run through. It's one of those ones that I'm like, I put it this way, so I know this is what Stampin' Up! Thinks is the top. But on this particular card, I used it this way. No, I think I did use it that way. We'll see. There's two sides to every paper. So I wanted this to show a little bit more. So I'm just going to take my white ink pad. And I'm just going to lightly, super lightly. It's easier to do this with this craft pad because mine's not really inky. If you do it with a regular pad, which I will on my other card, a little variation of this, then you'll be able to see. I think I did it in Darling Deckling on my other one. So come back over the next couple of weeks and I'll have 2 more cards for you with this. so I've got that. Now I'm just going to lay it here. I want a little bit of it to be darker just up here at the top so I can press a little harder on the table. It gives a nice trellis texture. So I stamped this in pecan. I'm just going to trim it out with scissors. You can always stick it in your paper trimmer if you don't want to mess with scissors and hope that you stamp straight. And then here is the frame. So I'm going to use this on the second card. That now I remember it is Darling Duckling. I smeared on the back. So we're going to use this on my other card. So I'm going to keep that aside until I film that, which may not be today, even though the stuff's all laying here. It's always a toss-up. Do I film it while it's all laying here, or do I move on to Card Club, which I also need to get filmed today? So pop this out. On this card, we're just going to use this piece. But because it gave us two, I'm going to not throw the other one away. So we have the frame here. This is going to take some glue. Use fine tip glue. You could put, it's like with things like this, I really wish I could put the adhesive sheet on the back, but I don't need adhesive sheet on that giant other piece that just popped out of the middle. So I opt to just use the glue, and it sticks fine. You don't need it on every single spot of this. But because when it pulls out, it kind of warps it a little bit till it's flat back down. It does help to have glue on most of it. And then let's just pop this on here. And put the lid back on. That's usually just about the right amount of time for that to stick. Okay. I have this. I'm going to take my Darling Duckling ribbon. Just tie a bow. I'm sure this ribbon would distress easily. You can deconstruct it. And that was kind of my intent on both of these cards, but it also ties a beautiful bow. And the bow and the flowers and the yellow. It was just... Why mess with perfection? Why distress this when it looks really pretty non-distressed? So I'm going to put this on here. You can see I don't do my knots terribly tight. It helps if you're mailing the card that doesn't, you know, because sometimes you take it up to the post office and they push and push and push. And if you've made a really tight knot, they're much more likely to feel it than if you just do it this way. And then this piece here is cut like a 1/4 inch smaller than 4. Not quite a 1/4 inch, maybe an 1/8 of an inch. It's not an exact measurement, but I wanted to have a little bit more border on my card, so my flowers can kind of go off the frame. And stick a little bit more in there. So here's our frame. You can see I have a bigger border than just a 1/4 inch. I really kind of wanted to put that on with dimensionals because that's my favorite way to mount things currently. You know, you get a flavor of the day, and that is what I've been doing recently. And knock everything over. So I'm going to have both sizes of my dimensionals ready, and then go ahead and get all this stuff moved out. And then here are all of our die cuts. And I already know that, don't you just love the way, and then same way with the washi tape, it'll cut those right out. I already know I'm not going to use this one. Put it over with my little stack, and this one. And then I want to do a little frame around. So the template that we are using when we get together this week, everybody brings a swap. I don't know what page the catalog these are on this year. It was on page 20 last year. Here we go. We opted to do this one right here. So you can see it's got the oval, and then it has 3 areas of stuff. So this one is going to be my sentiment, and then I'm going to have flowers and flowers. But I also added a few more flowers above my sentiment because that's just kind of a guide. So we'll all have the same basic layout to our cards, but then they'll all be a little bit different. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to add some to my card. I have no idea where I put these on my other card. So it may end up being kind of the same, or it could be totally different. These are the ones that kind of go up on the, as opposed to the template. And then let's do this one. You can see how they kind of, just like if you were doing a wreath, they shape the same way as the oval. So I kind of went with that as my base. Let's do this one here, which is still a little wet. I think those look like they're upside down, so we'll do it this way. And then I'm going to use both sizes because these are faster, but some of the flowers are small and they need the tiny ones. But for this, I will, let me do it like that. I remember trying to figure out which way was the right direction when I did this card before, but I've slept since then. Put that there. Where's my sentiment? I need to get that on there so it doesn't get covered up. And this one's going to take the tiny ones. I have ink and white craft ink everywhere now. This is where the sentiment is kind of on that other, on the template. Didn't want that to get covered up before I forgot about it. Let's stick this one here. Once I had the basic like place for them, then I did, and I got some more white. I told you it needed time to dry. A little bit is on my cutting emboss plate too. The other thing is you can see I'm not pressing very hard because if I put something somewhere and I end up not liking it, it'll be easier to move it. And it will take a nice little press for the stuff that is, especially on top of the white craft ink, because it doesn't stick exceedingly well. So if you don't push hard, once you push hard, it's fine. I like to have a mix of high and low flowers, and this is why I didn't put that one on the back with the dimensionals, because there's already enough height in here with. Go. And then we're left with, there are 4 or 5. I thought there was 5, but maybe there's just 4 of these. And I'm going to put them all on with dimensionals, so you don't have to watch that. So now that I know that, I'm gonna go through and make sure. The other one I didn't get everything and I picked it up and one piece just fell off. I'm gonna figure out where it fell from. Okay, now we're good. Now for these are beautiful. These will be coming up if you're in card club, they will be in your July club. They are the low profile sparkle dots that go with the pair set, which will be our card club in July. So you'll get them in card club. Everybody else, you can order them starting July 1st. So let's do, I'm just going to do this green and yellow. There's so much static in my house. Well, there's dimensional backings everywhere now. So let's do 5. I'll put the peacock one on my other. I'm going to do 3 of the little ones up here. And then I'm going to get one of the big ones. Maybe each of the colors and put it down below. And this is such a pretty card. So hopefully you can see, especially in that mossy meadow, the white, I didn't use, that's an empty Stella that I was using the white with because I just need it for the brush. So the white remains not glimmery and shimmery. And then here's the other one. Oh, this one I did do. this direction. I forgot. Sometimes I like to do them that way and then I forget and I go cut paper before I film. As you can see, it's super pretty. And they're all going to be a little bit different according to where you put the flowers. And this is opposite than what I did that. So look at the pattern of the white. I like this one better. I like the fact that it just got mostly the X's and not the giant squares, but they both work. So there you go. Come back. I will have lots of new stuff coming up for you because I have a bunch of new product. I haven't even used the new product that I got from this annual catalog, but don't forget about the sweet sale. Be watching for July camp. If you are in Card Club, those will be mailing out this afternoon. I have them already. I came up to print labels and I thought, oh, I can film this and then let it download while I am printing your labels. So those will be in the mail tomorrow. Have a great one. Bye.